Welcome to another edition of Palcast. We have Millie on for the very first time. Find her at mill.media on a lot of different social platforms, including Threads, which is now a thing that is taking over all of our lives. I'm pretty sure Vin will never get off his phone ever again, even if he never got off prior. So, Millie, welcome to the Palcast. Obi Toppin was your favorite player on the Knicks, and now he's gone. So, one, introduce yourself, and two, eulogize the very short Knicks career of one Obadiah Toppin.
Hi guys, I'm Mill. You might have seen me on Instagram or Twitter, known as Mill Media. Um, so I've been a Knicks fan. I was born into being a Knicks fan, but I mean mainly got into it around 2011, 2012. So I've just been rooting for them ever since and recently joined Big Nick Energy, which I'm super excited for. And yes, as you said, my favorite Nick was Obi Toppin. I'm very sad that he left and was traded, especially for what we got in return for him. I wasn't happy about that. But I mean, we have to move on. I'm not gonna still be hung up on it. Obviously, I just think he was a fan favorite and a lot of people enjoyed watching him play in the Garden. And obviously, his dunks, they were amazing. They always got the crowd hype, and you love to see a guy like that on your team that is always hyping up everyone and getting the crowd energized. And it's very unfortunate to see him leave the Knicks, but if he's going to Indiana to get a bigger role, then I'm happy for him.
Well, how would you feel if you find out that he ends up backing up their eighth overall pick this year in Jarris Walker, who I think is going to be a great point forward out of Houston, and two, ends up still not getting more than 22 minutes a game? How are you going to feel about Obi Toppin in Indy?
I'm still gonna be I'm gonna be so upset, honestly, if he went there and his role was the same, because obviously he wants more minutes, he wants to do bigger things, and if he's stuck in the shadow of someone else again, uh honestly, I don't know where his career would be going after that. It would be a shame to see.
I hope for your sake it doesn't happen.
I would be really upset.
Ange just posted Obi getting 25 and 10 in Indiana. Yeah, maybe in April when he gets to start again, when they either clinch or are trying to fight for a number one pick. They're not fighting for the number one pick, but lottery, baby, lottery. Mill, just so you know, I do have a very different opinion of Obi than you. Um,
Okay.
I also love dunks. Dunks are cool. I can't dunk, so I mean that's amazing. He's a 6'9" guy with very high hips and he doesn't stand in the best defensive position, and he couldn't play wing out of that. And even though, I mean, he could have tried maybe playing the three at one point, Tibbs was never going to do that. I'm not a Tibbs guy, but it is what it is. I think they should have at some point given him a chance to play with Randle way more often, just to do a more offensive set and not always rely on a rim protector. But again, Tibbs going to Tibbs. But
Yeah.
there's no world that he's a better player than Julius Randle. And if we're going to pigeonhole Obi Toppin just playing the four and Julius Randle playing the four for 35 minutes a game, and their coach is just not an offensive genius in any way, shape, or form. And if you can't have a rim protector, you can't be out there, or both of you can't be out there. We were always going to get to this point, and it is going to be interesting. I hope I'm wrong when I say this, especially for people like yourself that are major Obi fans, and I hope he does get a chance to get 30 plus minutes at some point. But between him most likely being behind Jarris Walker coming in, having to fight for minutes with Isaiah Jackson and Jalen Smith, and then the longest tenured Indiana Pacer somehow, Miles Turner, which how is that even possible after all this time? And talk about someone that was in trade talks for years. I don't know if he's getting 25 minutes a game, and it's going to be really, really crappy. It's not going to be like a Cam Reddish thing where we watch him play for 5 games and then they're out on him. But like I'm just worried we're going to be stuck in the same thing where this dude's getting 20 minutes. It's now a contract year for him, and then he's trying to do like a 1 year, $9 million prove it deal next year, and just goes through the process all over again.
Yeah, like you said, I really hope it's not a situation where he gets fewer minutes or about the same minutes. It would really be hard to see him not playing at all. But I know you said that Randle's a better player, and that's obvious. He's averaging 25 and 10. I never thought that Obi should necessarily be a starter, but I did want him to get more minutes in terms of the games. Like I was looking, I mean, you can look back at the video that I made about him, and I was looking at the game logs, and
If you
Some
haven't
games,
looked at it, definitely check it out, by the way. It's one of our hottest hitters the past week.
when you look at the game logs, some games he literally would only get 8 minutes, 10, 9, 12. Those were the very low ones, but they were common. And I just think that's inexcusable to happen. You know, he's a third year forward. He wants more minutes, he wants more time. When you when you get drafted by a team, you know, you expect at least to get a larger role at some point. And now that he hasn't gotten that, he's gone. So it makes sense, but yeah, it's unfortunate.
I'm pretty sure I saw right before we started recording that it is right before we started recording 19 minutes ago, the Knicks have officially signed Jacob Toppin to a
Oh yeah, I
two-way
saw
deal.
that.
So what is your take on that? Is Jacob Toppin now going to be your new favorite Knick when he makes the actual roster, or what's going to happen?
Honest, I don't know. I can't say for certain if he would be my favorite Knick yet because he hasn't played at all. I'm still rooting for him because he's a part of the Toppin gang and the family. I think honestly it was a very strange move by the Knicks to sign him on draft night and then trade his brother. I don't know what was going on there. We might never know how that discussion went down, but I'm rooting for him. And I don't think he's playing in summer league because he got injured, I think.
Right.
So that,
You know
you
what?
know, we
Hopefully he takes Obi Toppin's number so nobody has to throw out or burn their jerseys.
I was literally about to
yes.
say that. Literally, I was like, do you think James Dolan's just going to try to save a couple dollars and keep the number one?
I would love that because then I could just wear my jersey.
There you go. And for what's worth, Jacob Toppin allegedly is better at defense coming in. So I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully it all means he can get more minutes. To go from one backup power forward allegedly to the next backup power forward, Isaiah Roby also came out in the past 24 to 48 hours that they're going to give him a chance to be the backup power forward, as we all are just recklessly speculating that Josh Hart, RJ Barrett's going to play the 3-4 as the backup, the second unit for a lot of the time. They're going to stack RJ and Reynolds minutes way more. Or against bigger teams, they're just going to play Hartenstein and Sims at the same time, like he did a couple times last year after a few injuries. But last year, as we're both and all aware, the Knicks ran an 11-man rotation up until the Dallas Mavericks catastrophe of a loss, right? And the three guys, so out of that 11, it turned into 9. He stopped playing Fournier, Reddish, and Rose, and then put in Deuce. And then that was our rotation basically until Josh Hart got there. Do you think that Isaiah Roby is going to make it past the 20-game sample size that Tibbs is probably going to give him as the backup power forward? Or do you think he's going to get the Fournier, Reddish, Rose treatment going into like December, January, whenever the Knicks lose a catastrophic game again?
Honestly, it's a little hard to tell because, you know, we haven't seen him play with the Knicks yet. So it all depends how he flows with the other players and how he fits in. He could perform really well, not exceptionally, but he could fit really well with the style and with everyone else. So in that case, I do see him going past the 20 games. But in that other situation where he doesn't fit as well, obviously, I don't think he's going to get as much playing time. And I think it would be similar to Jericho Sims. There was like a stretch of games where he would be getting like more than average minutes, but then towards the end of the season, I feel like we didn't really see him as much because of that rotation that was being played. And, you know, Hartenstein was taking all those minutes. So I think he is just going to be similar to that role.
Sims got an advantage last year because Mitch is always known to miss like 15, 20 games. And it's weird that they
Yeah.
kept Hartenstein on the bench and Sims just got to start. So this dude went from playing less than 4 minutes a game to playing 30 to playing 0 again.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Just so everyone knows, Isaiah Roby's numbers last year, he played for San Antonio. He played in 42 games, started 2 of them. San Antonio was tanking, so I don't know how much this is really worthwhile, but he scored only 4 points. He shot 43 and 30% from 3, and then didn't get a lot of free throws, but he shot so few free throws, he shot 50%. So that's not good. Hopefully that goes up. But he did average 10 points a game 2 years ago for OKC. And OKC also was a bottom feeder team before they actually like finally let SGA play and stop saying he was hurt to tank every single year. So I'm excited. The dude's only 24, 25 years old. He's 6'9" or he's 6'8". Let's see what his wingspan is. I'm gonna filibuster by saying I'm looking up his wingspan out loud as I'm doing this. And we got what do you think it is? Mills, as I'm looking it up. He's 6'8".
Maybe 7 feet.
Whoa, he has long arms. It's 7'1" wingspan. So in essence, maybe he'll actually make it worthwhile. And again, for a guy that's only going to play 10 to 15 minutes a game, if Randle's going to play 33, this shouldn't be that big of an issue. Also, which might benefit Randle in a various off-kilter way, he's not going to have fans clamoring for Isaiah Roby minutes, which can affect both players, Obi Toppin and Julius Randle. They did clash at various points, not like I feel like publicly or anything, but like it just did feel like Obi would get more upset when the fans are chanting his name, and then Tibbs is putting Randle back in, or Randle has a couple bad shots and fans are just chanting Obi. That's never a good thing. Isaiah Roby is probably not going to get a chance in the Garden anytime soon, barring an injury or him turning into a taller Jamal Crawford or something. I don't even know. I don't know how it would happen.
Yeah. I definitely think he fits the role that this team needs right now and that Tibbs needs. You know, obviously we said Obi wanted a bigger role, but for the backup power forward, I don't think we need anyone too big. We need someone like him who's going to accept the minutes he's going to get and just play the best he can with however minutes, 10, 11, you know, because obviously Randle's going to be averaging like 35 again this year. Yep. So
let's get off Isaiah Roby. I think this is longer than I ever thought I would talk about in my whole life. I'm not going to lie. So Mills, the last thing that's been coming out the past few weeks, honestly, at this point, but definitely in the past 48 hours, was the declined Paul George trade that could have sent him to New York. The one that was being floated around that we all knew about first, which thankfully they didn't do it, because if they didn't do it for Donovan Mitchell at 26 or 27, I hope they don't do it for Paul George at 33. That's for sure. It was RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier to match the salary, and then 3 first-round picks. And then it came out that the actual deal, prior to them sending Obi to Indy for 2 second-round picks, was take out RJ Barrett and then put an Obi Toppin, Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, and 3 first-round picks. First, let's go with the deal that didn't, like, they both didn't happen, obviously, but let's go with the first one that was supposed to happen that didn't happen, the one with Obi. Now that Obi's not on the team and they only got 2 seconds for him, do you wish the Knicks did that? Grimes, Obi, Fournier, and 3 firsts for an older Paul George, or would you still have said no?
I would have said yes. I think that RJ and Obi are completely 2 different players. And with Obi being in that trade deal, I would have said yes. You know, getting Paul George in return, that I think that's a steal for Obi, Grimes, Fournier, and well, the 3 firsts, that's a lot, but I would have done it.
They could have dealt 3 firsts and they still would have depending on which of they have 4 first-round picks going into next year. I don't think that the Detroit one or Washington one will convey yet, but I mean, if they had not since dealt 3 first-round 2024 picks and those players, they still have 2 or 3 picks next year, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Now that I know that in essence, if you just take Obi's name out and say it would have been Grimes, Fournier, 2 seconds and 3 firsts, assuming it was like 2 unprotected and 1 protected first, I would have done that. RJ Barrett's too good of a player on our team. He's too important. I'm not going to take out RJ and then have Paul George, Julius Randle, and Jalen Brunson when I'm almost sure, in 1, watching the NBA for the past 10, 15 years, 2, know how being a long, lankier, aging wing goes, and 3, being a Knicks fan, that Paul George would 100% get hurt at the wrong time if he was to be put on our team. He hasn't played in the playoffs for 2 or 3 seasons now. I just don't see how it wouldn't have worked out.
Yeah, but then again, I'm wondering if that deal had went through with Obi Toppin, I think, like, where would RJ get minutes? His role would change.
I think it would be the 2, right? Because they would take Grimes out too.
Oh, yeah. But I just feel like with that many shooters on the team, you have Randle, Brunson, and then Paul George. You know, I feel like he would not get as much offensive game as he would want to. He's already limited having Brunson and Randle shoot as much as they are. And I would hate to see if that did happen, if RJ's game was limited.
I'm worried. I mean, we're going to find out a lot about RJ Barrett this year, I feel like. I think going in, whether there's a chance he still doesn't even stay on the team in the next 6 months. We literally have no clue.
That's true.
He's the most traded and tradable asset on the team between age, the idea that he's not as valuable as Jalen Brunson, the idea that he has more value league wide, which makes sense based on age than Julius Randle. He's like the guy that most teams clamor for. And then his number, the 24 mil a year, 25 mil a year, just helps him match with, I think it's 26 mil now, match with the teams that are trying to send stars out for younger talent. We're going to find out so much about RJ this year, whether it turns into like him being a better at assisting, finding guys in the corner off drives. Cause for what it's worth, for better or for worse, all three of those dudes are left-handed and all three of those dudes kind of want to get to similar spots. Jalen Brunson can shoot 40% from three, but the other two do not, and they want to get to the same place in the court.
Definitely, I agree with that.
Let's move on from Paul George, who's not going to be a Knick. Also, Brad, I'm assuming you're listening to this at some point after the Yankee game tonight. I'm sorry that Paul George isn't on the team or Damian Lillard. Get some newer, younger favorite players, dude. Stop. I'm sorry. I know you're almost the same age as them. They were like in the league when you were a 15-year-old or 16-year-old. Like, they're 33. Find someone younger. I like Jalen Williams on OKC. Cheer for someone that young. And then you have him for 10 years instead of hoping Paul George or Damian Lillard in their almost AARP age are going to make the Knicks champions.
Chet Holmgren, baby. Chet Holmgren.
Chet Holmgren. First of all, you don't say his name right, Ben. Second of all, Chet Holmgren isn't being traded by the Thunder in the next decade. I just want to... Okay. If you want to cheer for any of the Slim Towers, you got to hope for Poku, man, and he's not really good or useful. So I'm sorry that Chet Holmgren, who looks like he could be a Pulio and has the same haircut as you, is never going to be on your favorite team. Keep Vinny out of basketball discussion. All right. So go on from there. Let's talk about real quick because Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart are both in the US FIBA team that's playing starting next month in August. So Mills, are you excited about that? Are you like worried about like them potentially being hurt? Like Edwin Diaz, for example, playing for the Mets at the beginning of the year, and then their season's been taking up until recently. Like, what is your thoughts going in seeing two of the most fan beloved and our best Knick in FIBA next month?
I was super excited when I first found out that Brunson was going to be, joining that team as well as Josh Hart now. And I didn't really consider the fact that an injury could take place. For some reason, it just like it didn't cross my mind.
You're a Met fan, girl. How would you not? That's just my only thought.
I know, exactly. And then someone mentioned Edwin Diaz, what happened, and I'm like scared now. I'm really scared for our two very important players for the Knicks to take on that much playing there, and I don't know. It's scary.
Are you expecting the Knicks to the US to get the gold?
Oh yeah, with Jalen Brunson, yes.
We're not worried about France.
He's going to carry everyone.
We're not worried about no Wemby Gobert, Eiffel Towers in the middle or anything like that.
I don't think, is he playing? I think he said he wasn't playing.
He's not, but I could dream.
but who else is on the other teams? Is RJ playing? Wait, is Canada in this?
Canada is in this. I actually don't know the whole rosters off the top of my head. And outside of people listening to me go through any of them, I'll look up Canada's roster real quick just to see.
I'm wondering if RJ's on that. I haven't seen anything announced.
Because I feel like it would have been mentioned at some point, and like Nick's Twitter is very he's got to be on the team. I can't imagine why he wouldn't be on the team. I'm on the page, so filibustering again.
So there's reports he was on the Canadian team last year.
Right.
There's no reports of him yet going, but I do not see anything about Canada already filling their roster, so it could be a possibility.
I have the roster in front of me. He's not playing this year.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
That's interesting.
US has got it. Forget France, forget Canada, forget Spain. Yeah. We're going to win. Jalen Brunson for MVP. Forget you, Tyrese Haliburton. Go home. With your $240 million, you're not twice as good as Jalen Brunson contract. I'm sorry.
Thank you for saying
how
that.
cool is it? How cool is it going to be that Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, and Josh Hart are all going to get a championship together once again?
That's crazy.
I think you just jinxed
flashbacks.
Mikal on Team USA. He is on Team USA. And then let's get into some quick hitter questions. Mills, are you ready? You are a content creator. So I
Okay.
feel like you're going to nail this. The goal of these is for us to keep these answers under 30 seconds because
30 seconds?
30
Oh
seconds each.
no.
So we each get a minute between me asking the question, some pauses that we can cut out. First question. Is Immanuel Quickley going to be on the team, the New York Knickerbockers, going into the 2024 season? And if so, what is his contract? And if not, when does he get traded?
I do think Immanuel Quickley is going to be on the team next year. I don't see the Knicks making any more big moves, big trades. Obviously PG isn't on the table anymore. If Embiid does come into consideration, that's a different story. But I think his contract would be 25 million a year. He wanted a 4-year deal, so that's what I'm thinking. And honestly, I don't mind giving it to him. Looking at all the contracts we've seen this offseason, he deserves it. I know he didn't win the Sixth Man of the Year award, but he still deserves it for how he played last season. And pay him. We have to pay him.
Immanuel Quickley will not be on the Knicks next year. And if he is on the Knicks, it's because RJ Barrett is not on the Knicks next year. Because you can't pay 4 guys over $20 million and then pay a bunch of backups over $12 million and stay under the salary cap. That's just not how numbers work. I'm sorry to say that.
All right.
And then the last thing, you know the summer league roster, right? Or you at least looked at it for a little bit?
I've seen a few players on it, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
So we'll rock with that. You only need to know a couple to answer this. So outside of Isaiah Roby, who are you most excited to see the Knicks summer league team this weekend?
Everyone is probably going to say this, but it's Jalen Martin because I think the way that he was drafted into the NBA, being on an overtime team, is so unconventional. I don't know how many players have been able to do that, but I'd love to see his game. I've already seen a few highlights. He looks like a very shifty player, can get to the hoop, and I definitely like to see how he competes in summer league. And maybe we can see him play a few games with the Knicks and see how he fits in.
I always like young talent. He's 19 years old. So, I mean, the idea of him being great in
He's
4 or
very
5
young.
years is so tantalizing. My favorite that's not Jalen Martin, because I was going to say that,
Yeah.
is David Shriver. It's David Shriver because I have friends that went to VCU. They love this guy. He shoots 40% from 3. He's like a stockier dude. He's called Mountain Man, which is really funny. And if he ever made the Knicks roster, he would be like a long-haired, weird mustached Steve Novak. What I'm most worried about David Shiver, though, is he's the exact kind of dude that ends up on the Miami Heat and drills a couple threes against us in the playoffs 4 years from now. So David Shriver, no matter what happens in your NBA career, do not go to the Miami Heat.
Yeah, he is a name to watch because, like you said, let's look. In a few years, he just might be on another team and he might be just drilling threes against us because that's what happens.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope it's for us, not against us. Or he plays in China or Canada or something. You know, he just doesn't have to even play in the NBA. Just don't hurt us as a team. That's all I'm asking for. And then I do feel like we should mention Race Thompson because Race Thompson's actually the other name that's been brought up quite a bit. He's 6'8". He's out of Indiana. He's turning 24. He just turned 24 years old and is a guy that definitely fought and clawed his way. I think he played in college for 5 or 6 years. So Race Thompson, another 6'8" guy. I'm hoping he shows off his defensive ability and his 3-point shooting, and we'll see what happens from there. Again, the Knicks Summer League roster doesn't actually have any draft picks on it for obvious reasons outside of Trevor Keels last year because we trade all of our picks for the future. And then Khalid Moore is a Queens, New York product. So, I mean, Queens is tight. I think he was Ange's neighbor at some point.
That's cool.
Ange, you went to high school with Khalid Moore, you know, when he was like 9 years younger than you?
I've been around them a couple times. Good basketball player, good energy, high energy guy, just hustle guy, dive on the floor, one of those kinds of players.
Love that. More Josh Harts than Dante DiVincenzo's and Deuce McBride's. There's
We're
never
just
enough
gonna
of those
have
guys.
a whole roster of Josh Hart kind of players.
And then just not a whole roster of guys that can make a game-winning shot outside of Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, basically.
That's basically it. I do want to say a couple things, and I just want to get this on recording because I'm never going to actually tweet this. but I just want to say it. So if I just decide to ever hate me and clip this, it's somewhere available. One, Julius Randle is always going to be a better player than Obi Toppin. 2, OG Anunoby is leaps and bounds better than RJ Barrett right now, and probably always will be. And a Knick fan that doesn't believe that just does not care about defense or even watch the defensive end of the floor, apparently. And 3, I also hate Tom Thibodeau, even though I feel this way about both Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. I know it's crazy for Knicks Twitter to think that you can think Randle's a better player than Barrett and then also hate Tom Thibodeau. It's like those things don't exist for some reason. Mills, I'm glad you came on for your first time. We're definitely going to have you on again. Tell everyone where to find you, and if you want, you can give a little sign off like some corny crap I just did.
Okay. Thank you guys for having me on this one. I really enjoyed talking about all things Knicks and everything that's going on. Like I said in the beginning, you guys can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. On Instagram, I'm mill.media, and on Twitter, I'm Mills Sports Media. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys, and hopefully I can be on the next one or anything if you guys do any more. Like obviously you guys are doing more, but I mean,
This is
if
the
you
last
want to
one
get me
forever.
involved.
We're done.
No. I worded that wrong.
Yeah.
This isn't the last one.
Awesome. Yeah, no, you'll definitely come back on. Always. I'm always trying to try to limit this to like 2 or 3 of us being on, not all 4 or 5 of us on at the same time. But yeah, this is really good. I'm excited for the future.
Jojo, we should do a special one day.
Let's
with
go
all of
Knicks
us.
Summer League. Like what, all 6 or 7 of us that exist now?
Yeah, one big party.
You and Ange have to actually show your faces.
Maybe next week. Stay tuned.
That's not all right. I'll believe it when I see it. Let's go Knicks Summer League. Come
Yes,
on,
let's
Westchester
go.
Knicks. Peace.